You know, these videos aren't for kids. If you aren't at least 18 or are easily offended, you should probably click off. We here at Dual Wield accept no responsibility for your children. So if you are an adult who sat your kids down to watch our videos, you should be ashamed. Anyway, back to the video.
Hello everyone. We hope you all are enjoying 31 days of Halloween. Now, sit back, relax, enjoy, and shriek your heart out. Welcome to the Dual Wield Horror Review.
Greetings, my little subjects. It is I, the Prince of All Saiyans, Vegeta Almighty, back with more 31 Days of Halloween. And we are here, me and, of course, my co-host, Shady. Say hello.
Hello there, everybody.
We are here with our last episode of the Dual Wield Horror Review. For now. Obviously, we're going to want to do more in the future, but...
For the Halloween.
For this particular Halloween, at the very least. This is the last Dual Wield Horror Review. But... it doesn't mean that we haven't had fun and that this isn't going to be a recurring segment, possibly, but I've enjoyed this so far. I don't know about you, but I've really enjoyed doing this.
For someone who is not a horror fan and a person who can never get anybody to watch scary movies with me because I do jump scare easy.
Yeah.
And people get annoyed with that and stuff. I'm really glad that you watched them with me. Or, you know, in one case didn't, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was busy that day. Yeah, I don't mind horror. You know, like I said, I'm very... Now that I'm an adult, there's not really much that gets to me anymore. Because I can differentiate the fact that it's a horror movie or a show or a game or whatever.
Well, for me, you have a hard time with games.
Yeah, fuck you, Shrek. Anyway.
But for me... And not to get, like, too personal or anything, but I actually lived through a horror story. Yeah. And so, especially certain genres, I cannot watch. I watched Hostel, and I literally had panic attacks for the next couple months, and it was really bad for me, and that's all I'm going to say on it. So
You all already know how I feel about that movie.
Yeah, well, I hate true event movies.
Yeah, those are the worst.
And I'm not talking about, like, true crime or true, like, ghost hunter type stuff. I'm talking about, like, things that are based in actual real events.
Yeah.
Those are what scare me.
Yeah, those are the worst.
I also don't like zombie movies. I've already said it once before, but I fully think that someday we will have something like the bath salts in Florida. You know, mindless people who will eat a face off.
Yeah. I've already had that discussion with my dad before, and
Why?
Yeah. You good?
You sprayed all that cologne.
Oh, sorry. My ADHD
You didn't smell bad before.
My ADHD got the best of me. I saw a spray can. I was like, ooh.
Sorry about that, y'all.
Sorry. But no, I've had that conversation with my father about zombie movies being kind of passé and cliche for me at this point. The zombie media as a whole has been done to death now.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't watch zombie content anymore for the simple fact that it's played out.
I don't watch it. I mean, like, I think the last time I watched a zombie movie was...
Zombieland doesn't count.
Yeah, that doesn't count. I think it was early 2000s, maybe, and when it was it 28 Days Later or 30?
One of them, yeah.
One of those ones was the last one I watched. The second one was the last one I watched. And I just, again, it didn't look super real, but the premise of it is something I believe in.
Yeah, I don't really think... For me, it's not that's the issue. For me, it's I'm tired of seeing zombies, man.
Yeah, but there's some good games out there, though.
Yeah, I mean,
The Last of Us was freaking fantastic.
Last of Us was great. I mean, and I'll play my share of Call of Duty Zombies, which there's a lost episode for you guys. But yeah, no, I'm over the medium of it in story as far as storytelling is concerned. You know, it's played out for me.
I gotcha. That's kind of like how vampire movies are for me. There has not been a scary vampire movie since. What was that one? Was it The Priest or whatever? With the crosses on the head?
Man, I don't know.
And I think a little bit of I Am Legend kind of got me towards the end of it.
Well, yeah, that was kind of a zombie movie.
Vampire zombie movie.
They were mostly zombies.
But
they're basically zombies.
They were, yes, but they couldn't go out in the light, and they devoured blood, and they're just mindless. So they were like vampire zombies. There you go.
Yeah, vampire zombies. But no, getting way the fuck back on track.
Hey, look, you got the two of us in a room with a recording session. I'm surprised that we don't sit there and talk for more than an hour.
Yeah, well, we do, but about the wrong things.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. But no, like, back to what... God, you're throwing me for a loop. Your ADHD is bouncing off of mine.
I will just start us in the segue is that we went and saw a movie today.
We saw a movie today. And I'm assuming by the fact that it's going to be in the title and in the background of this video right now, you know what that is. It's we're going to see The Exorcist Believer. And
I'm not a believer.
Boy, if we got some things to say about that movie.
So first off, let's start with... We went into this movie with not high hopes. With Exorcist movies, they're really either hit or miss, and the last one I watched was Pope Exorcist, and that was a miss. But, we also went in optimistically, so we took the service dog and hightailed it to our local theater, and had actually a pretty decent time, I think.
Yeah, I had a pretty good time. Jen's on his way up. But I had a pretty good time. I just think that... I just want to say for the record, if you spit on my feet for any reason whatsoever, I'm kicking you with that spitty foot. The pregnant chick at the beginning, they did that little ritual where they...
Oh, well, get into that first. Don't be like, don't spit on my feet.
It's an excellent segue.
No, it was not. It was confusing.
Movie starts off in Haiti, and there's this pregnant chick, and her hubbins is taking pictures of her and of the sights. He's a photographer, clearly. They don't really go too far into that. But, man, she's running through the market, and people are trying to sell her, bootleg Sonic. Yeah, come in.
Bootleg what?
Hold on. Say hello to Jen, everybody. Heyo.
He's only here to go away.
Yeah, go
Exactly.
Alright.
If you need a pen, text me.
Love you. Oh, so much love.
Love you, Shady.
Alright.
Get out of here. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Yeah, fucking asshole. Anyway,
So she's going through this marketplace. A little kid says, come with me.
I got something cool to show you, basically.
Yeah.
And I thought he was finna show her a dead body and start poking it with a stick.
I don't know.
Either that or bootleg Sonic the Hedgehog 28, for the Nintendo 64. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like one of the bootleg video games you get from the little black market. But no,
Why you gotta say it like that?
The black market. B-L-A-T. Black market. I watch too much YouTube. Anyway, but yeah, no, like I said, they end up taking her and they're surrounded by all these people shaking things.
Doing
making
voodoo.
chants, doing voodoos. This lady grabs her foot and just goes and spits all over her bottom of her foot. Now she gotta walk around that all day. She gonna get trench foot.
What's weird about that though is there was no explanation of what was going on.
Yeah,
so you're just
seeing this weird fucking ritual happening.
And the spitting on the feet, and
it took me out.
It was supposed to be, I think, a blessing or whatever. Yeah, I was sitting there going why?
So she said it was a blessing of protection for the baby.
Why? Like that, but what they're doing makes no sense.
Why you gotta spit on my feet? Like, that's the only question I have.
Yeah, I would have like walked the fuck out of there. Be like, bye, deuces.
I'd have wiped
I'm not
my
paying.
feet first and then walk the fuck out
I'm
of
not
there.
paying for this blessing now.
Right. You spit on my feet. That's
So,
what cost you.
However, as it is a scary movie, you can't have some sort of catastrophe happen in the beginning of the movie. Huh?
What are you talking about?
The building falling.
You just said you can't have it happen.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
has to happen.
That's not what you said, though.
You can't have it not happen.
You didn't say not. Anyway.
Whatever.
You know, it's beautiful, beautiful, loving couple, about to have a baby. Everything's going great. It's a horror movie, so you know somebody's got to die.
So, an earthquake happens, and unfortunately, the wife is caught in the rubble, and the husband, like, is holding her hand, waiting for her to get taken out of the rubble, and then they tell him, you gotta make a choice.
You know, we can't save one. We can't save both. We gotta
save one.
Save one
baby or the mom.
And then it cuts to 13 years later, and he got the little girl, and he making her breakfast, and then she's an annoying, pompous vegan, apparently. So.
Yeah, and and I'm gonna point this out because it's actually important to the story. Is she asks him if she can stay after school at her friend's house to do homework.
Oh, this is after first, before the breakfast scene. She's up in his room going through his old stuff, finding pictures of her mom and the scarf and the puka shell necklace. And, it's, it is what it is. So she's going through it's clear that she's wanting to have some kind of attachment to her mom. But then, like Shady was saying.
And he takes the scarf away from her, by the way. And that is important later on. So he takes her to school. He tells her as she's getting out of the car, hey, you know what? Go ahead and go to your friend's place. I'll be back by dinner. Cutaway in this, you see another little girl and her family, and she asks to go to a different person's house. Mm-hmm. And then comes and gets Angie, right? Angela.
Yeah.
From the car and tells the dad that,
She just says hi.
Yeah.
So and then they go to class.
They're talking in class, and they get in trouble, and then cut to the end of the school day, and they walk into
the woods that are near the fucking school for some reason.
Well, I grew up with woods next to the school.
Yeah, ain't nobody. It was out front, and ain't nobody seen them walking to the woods and think maybe we should.
I walked through the woods to go home, like no joke.
But with what we know later, okay, so it turns out there's like a whole homeless community out there in the woods and stuff, and it's like, why would you not? Like, first of all, we need to fence that off. Yeah, exactly.
And I can see that if it wasn't for the fact that I literally grew up in the mountains where you're in the forest.
But they weren't, though.
But going back, the girls go in the forest. They go into this tunnel thing.
Which, first of all, Angela is not white enough to be making these kinds of poor decisions. I'm just going to be perfectly honest. She should have known better.
She is very melanated.
And she should have known better than to do this white people shit. But,
yeah, well, Catherine. Right?
But she didn't, yeah.
Catherine?
Yeah, Catherine.
Catherine was the other little girl. She's with her. And they're doing, like, a weird seance thing.
It was like hypnotism is what it looked like she was trying to do.
And then cut to the dad taking pictures of some random family.
Because he's a photographer, and this is the last time you see him taking pictures.
Another weird thing that goes with that also is...
It goes home.
The computer screen, remember?
Yeah, but is it his home or is it his office?
No, that's at the office.
Yeah, so he's in his office, and he's looking at the computers. And the other was weird. What was the fucking... I guess that was just a red herring kind of situation.
I guess.
Because he's got his laptop, and then he's going through the pictures, and he's got the projector also projecting what's on screen. Which kind of seems like redundant, but he's scrolling through the pictures, and then all of a sudden the families are all
like blurry.
Yeah, they're like.
And then you look up on the projector, and it's fine. Why?
And then he's just like, he shuts the laptop and goes on, and that's it. You'll never see hey, that family ain't got nothing to do with the bullshit. Like,
there's no reason for it to be kind of weird and whatever.
Other
Unless
than-
they're trying to say that he's tired, but that wouldn't make sense either.
yeah, because like, we saw it.
But it's dark outside. He goes home and he starts looking for his daughter, and
She's not home.
not home. So he calls, or apparently doesn't have her friend's parents' phone number.
No, he calls her.
No. He has to go look it up.
No. So he calls.
Oh, Angie's phone.
Calls her phone. She doesn't answer.
So
that's when he calls the friends.
right, but he has to go. Like me, I have 2 boys. Okay.
Yeah.
I know
He's never met them before.
Yeah, I know every friend parent.
He's a single dad. He's probably just trying to be the cool dad.
No. That's not an excuse. I was a single mom. Okay.
But you know, first of all, you're a single mom, not a single father, and fathers are guys, and we're stupid. So, like, he's trying to be the cool dad.
Still, no.
But he's not. I'm not saying he's in the right. I'm just saying that's probably
My
his
first
rationale.
thing, I would never let my kids stay over for a homework study group with anybody without knowing who the parent was and talking, making sure they were going to be home.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not about them to turn into me.
Yeah.
So, he has to look it up in this school directory, which we don't do anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so that was kind of unrealistic. And calls and is like, hey, you know, my daughter's supposed to be home by now. She's with, supposed to be studying at your house. And I'm like, oh no, my daughter, Catherine, said that she was staying at
A different friend's
friend's house. And he's now freaking out. So they go...
to his house. They meet up at his house, I think.
No, they go to...
They meet up at his house
They
first.
call the girl.
Yeah.
They call the other girl, and she's like, oh, they went to the woods, blah, blah, blah.
Then they go to the school. And
They go to school, and they start searching for clues for these girls. And the police haven't even got there yet. First of all, I get wanting to do that, but, like, I'd be on the phone with the police first. I would meet them there, because I'm not going out in the middle of the dark without other people there to look for my kid. You know?
No plans. Nobody owns a gun. And, yeah, it was poor planning on everyone's part. Well, they're all in the woods yelling and screaming and shouting, and they can't find nothing. So, fucking,
So they're looking. Now, her parents find a backpack in a tree. He finds a tunnel. He finds a necklace, and he keeps going in, and all of a sudden the floor, like, caves in, right?
no,
what happened?
because
Or
he saw something, and then he went to move this rock,
and it was a snake.
and there was a snake, and it
And
scared
he
him on
tripped
his ass.
backwards
Yeah.
and fell down into some water.
Yeah, and he found a shoe.
And he found a shoe.
Yeah, one of their shoes.
And then the next thing you do, you cut to the next day.
Yeah, and like it's like they're trying to figure out what's going on. They're calling the police, putting up missing posters. They're all on the news and shit like that. And then cuts his random fucking farm out in the
Horse.
middle of
No, it cuts to a horse.
a random dead horse in the rain.
Like a horse that's down.
Sick, yeah.
And a father has to
He sends his son to go
send his
grab
son to
something.
go grab something from the barn, and the girls are in the barn. And this is supposed to be 3 days later, by the way, but there's no sense of time.
Yeah, you don't
Like-
find out it's 3 days later until you're explicitly told when the girls find out that it's been 3 days. Which they didn't know it's been that long. They thought it was only a couple hours. But this farm is apparently 30 miles from where that little forest was. And so they walk barefoot out there, no track of time. First of all, that's all the red flags in the world. Because if they ain't possessed, they on something. But they ain't find nothing wrong with them. And there was no signs of any kind of abuse or assault or nothing like that. And that's when I'm like, yeah, they possessed. That's when I'd be like, yeah, they possessed. Call Pope, get them over here. But like, of course, the dad's a non-believer.
And did you say they went back to the house in the...
Oh yeah. So fucking the dad comes home, the door's wide open, And you're thinking, oh,
He thinks that she's back.
she's home. Comes in there's a bunch of strangers in his daughter's room doing some voodoo shit. And then his neighbor comes up behind him and says, oh, thank God you're here. We were just blessing the room, hoping for her return. He's like, I need everybody out. And then he's like, okay, everybody, let's go. Let's give him some space. And he turns around and look at him and he's like, we were just trying to help. Get the fuck out of my house. Okay, I'm going. Because who does that?
Yeah, I mean, I would never go into my neighbor's house with a voodoo queen
Without his knowing.
without telling somebody and getting their blessing. Like, that's
It's
unrealistic.
It's uncool. It's unrealistic. It's a good way to get shot. Because after all, this is America. But like, fucking yeah, that's a good way to get shot. But kind of, it's just weird. Like even from the moment they're in the hospital, they start acting kind of weird.
And they can't remember. They're taking pictures of these girls, checking to see if they've been raped. You know. Well, I'm not about to get canceled. You?
No.
Okay. And you know, their feet are tore up and their fingernails are tore up and all this stuff, and they're just quiet, like letting everybody touch and poke and prod them. Like, they're not crying, they're not nothing. It's just a blank stare. And during this whole process, there's been only one jump scare. That's it. Nothing that makes you feel...
It was a snake.
Yeah, and you don't feel like, oh, some, you know, suspense like, you know, you do in horror. It just feels really like just a drama.
Yeah, it was very lackluster in the scares department. All throughout. Kind of going forward a bit. One of the neighbor ladies who kind of gave him shit about his trash cans, she turns out to be a nurse, and like she ends up checking in on her and everything. Like she comes home, he wakes up.
Oh no!
No, so she comes home first time, and then he's like, I'm not gonna be mad.
He's brushing.
I just want to know, and he wants to know what the fuck's going on, right? And
she just doesn't say anything.
Well, no, she's like, I wanted to talk to Mom, and so he explained to her, or she explained to him what they were doing. And she's like, I didn't see anybody. I didn't hear any spirits. Nobody talked back. So it obviously didn't work. Well, I cut a little bit later. She's like, now just leave me alone. Oh, of course, this is after the only other kind of like scary quote unquote moment was behind him was a little demonic version of her, like obscured in the background. And she was like, now just leave me alone.
Which could have been a jump scare, but of course it wasn't.
Yeah.
So she gets left alone, he goes in and he starts brushing his teeth, and all of a sudden the lights start flickering on, off, on, off, on, off.
Well,
and it's her doing it.
Fucking with the lights. And he's like,
puts her back to bed.
Can't go to bed. The lights flicker off. Flicker back on as he's brushing his teeth, and then she's just there in the middle of the fucking room. Did you say something? What'd you say? I heard you say something. I didn't say nothing, and then he puts her back to bed. Well, next day comes along, and he's making breakfast. You know, he's making pancakes, making pancakes, and then, you know, he's going to check up on her. And
she wet the bed, which is a trauma response,
yeah,
so I'm not mad at that. She
wet the bed, and he's trying to, like, get her in the bathtub, and he's trying to, like, go change the sheets and shit.
Comes back, and the water is brackish coming out of the faucet.
Like mud.
Like, yeah, it's super dark. And then he finds her fingernail, and she's gone. Not in the bathroom, not in her room or anything. And all of a sudden he sees her running.
And he goes to chase after her like the white person he's not. And then, like, she jumps him from behind with the fucking scarf and, like, takes him down and hits his head off the bedpost.
Starts strangling him.
And freaking, like...
Then has a seizure.
Then has a seizure, yeah.
So he takes her back to the hospital, of course.
She's freaking the fuck out at this point. Cussing everybody out. And, you know, clearly possessed.
And her voice is different now, too.
Yeah, clearly fucking possessed. And so, they sedate her and, like...
The nurse...
Well, so first it shows him going to look at a mental institution to have her get committed to.
I thought it was the nurse was talking to him first.
No. First, he went to go see if she would look at that mental institution. So clearly, he's trying to put her in the fluffy padded room with the fuzzy slippers, kind of institution.
Which is weird again because if she's in real life, if they're trying to make this as scary as it can be, there should be things like freaking out in the hospital and more than just like, oh, she had one episode.
She had one episode after going missing for 3 days, and he's like, well, bitch is crazy. Time to put her up.
Yeah.
But I think it all makes sense, but we'll get to why I think it makes sense in a minute.
So the nurse
is checking up on her.
And talking to her.
Yeah, and she's asleep. And she's just checking her blood pressure and doing all that shit. And then she looks and she's awake. And
she tells her that, I'm so glad that we found you, this, that, and the other. And the girl starts with her kind of voice, talking about how the girl wanted to be a nun, but she
used her nun name that she never got to use nor told anybody about.
And which was like Mary Ecuador. I don't know. It was weird.
Mary Excalibur Expelliarmus Expecto Patronum, yeah.
And tells her about, the baby that she ended up getting rid of before it came to fruition.
Yeah. And then started bleeding from her hoo-ha. Not it's that time of the month. It's like
everywhere.
It's like, all right, open up the valve. It was just flooding. And then that's when she confronts the dad.
And tells him about how they're...
Basically tries to tell him the obvious, that the bitch is possessed. And he's like, yeah, some bullshit. I'm believing
this is where I had to take a bathroom break. So I took the dog, and I'm going to let him tell you the next part.
So basically at that point, it just was a bit of filler at that point.
She gives him a book. I remember
she gives him a book. And... he goes, because he's like, you religious people are all the same. Every time something bad happens.
That's right. I remember that part. Because she goes, well, I never told anybody my nun name.
Yeah.
And,
or about the baby. And then that's when he was just kind of like, you could tell that he was kind of like, he didn't want to believe none of this because he's clearly atheist or agnostic or whatever. And he's just like, when she told him that, he was like, okay, hold on, let me, for shits and giggles sake, she seems legit. And she seems honest. So let me just go ahead and of course, I'm just assuming because he didn't say none of this. But he's looking into the author and looking into how she, her daughter Regan was possessed and how she got, exorcised and all that shit. And then so he's doing research and he ends up getting the neighbor dude who was in his house, which still disrespectful. And the other neighbor, the nurse lady, and they're trying to find out where this chick lives, and they're trying to pull together all their resources. Well, he ends up finding the old lady and going to her house, while the neighbor guy, I guess, just sticks his thumb up his ass and does nothing, and the neighbor nurse lady goes to the Catholic Church and is trying to get a real exorcist to come out and, perform an exorcism. What the fuck? Hold on. God forbid we actually record an episode.
Oh, I got lost again.
I don't know. Fucking...
Talking about, they found her...
God damn it, Jen. Oh, yeah, so... Alright, let me just go ahead and... Alright. So anyway, sorry about that. So we cut back to... He's at the old lady's house, and he ends up talking to her, and they're just shooting the shit about exorcism and things like that. And so he ends up convincing her to come out, and I'm super Cliff Notes versioning this, but basically convinces her to come out and look at the girls or whatever. And so she ends up seeing his daughter in the hospital, and she's obviously climbing up not actually climbing up the walls, but she's clearly crazy and possessed. So she's like, "Where's the other girl?" He's like, "They wanted to take care of her at home." She's like, "That's a bad fucking idea." Well, sure as shit, go to their house, and the dad's in the corner somewhere,
like praying,
spiraling. Is what he's doing. He's
Yeah.
spiraling. And they go up to the kitchen, find the mom with the 2 other kids.
and they're praying.
They're praying. The dad is spiraling. The mom and the other kids are praying. Well, the old lady sees Catherine running up the stairs, so she's like, all right, let me go chase after her. And she starts trying to do the exorcism, and the demon is talking shit and is like, your little whore daughter is in hell.
What do you call her? Your cunting
daughter is in hell.
Yeah.
And then, like, she's, like, thrown off the bed by the exorcism. The walls are shaking, and a cross falls off the wall. Well, immediately when that cross fell off the wall, it's like, somebody getting shanked, and it ain't gonna be the little girl. Well, sure as shit. Possession didn't work. She grabbed the cross and stabbed the old lady's eyes out. And then they retreat. So, and then, like, they're just like, all right, we out. And he ends up, Angela's dad ends up seeing the old lady in the hospital. You know, she's got her little Inspector Gadget goggles on to keep her eyes from getting infected.
And she tells him that he has to
get everybody together. And this is where the movie falls off the fucking rails for me.
Yeah, because remember, this is supposed to be like a religious horror. Exorcisms are horror. They're not supposed to be cliche, or they're supposed to be cliche exorcism. You know, you got a priest that's Catholic.
A young priest and an old priest. The power of Christ compels you.
You know?
Yeah.
You're expecting somebody who's got the kit like John or Constantine, you know? Like, you're not expecting them to get everybody.
Like all the parents and
the Christian preacher.
Yeah, the nurse lady, the neighbor dude.
And his voodoo queen.
Yeah, and the voodoo queen is there. And then the Catholic priest and the Christian preacher they're all there working in tandem. They
with
got
the Christian family.
Yeah, and so first thing they do that was like it's
weird.
Off to a weird start. The voodoo chick puts fucking like a weird chalk.
Yeah,
like
she's Sam Dean Winchester today.
No shit, it was a fucking what's that shit called? What is that shit called?
Symbol?
No, what is it called? Hold on, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Hold on. Fucking transmutation circed her ass.
Yeah.
Like they're finna use a philosopher's stone and bring somebody back to life. But like
Al Alfonso and Ed would
yeah.
be proud of that drawing.
Yeah, for real. But like and so that's the first start. And then they like
make a bathwater.
Yeah, make this weird like soup. That's what I'm gonna call it. This weird voodoo soup in the bathtub. And they drill these fucking chairs to the floor, and like, then they combo tag team ultimate Kamehameha these 2 little girls with 3 different religions.
What is it when the 2 go together?
They fused.
Yeah,
they fused. They did voodoo, Christianity, and Catholicism all in one exorcism. Like, I'm just gonna cliff notes this shit because I don't want to give away too much. The only person that had any kind of modicum of success was the voodoo chick. Now, here's my problem.
Oh, before you forget this, the priest can't go.
Oh, of course, leave it to the Catholic Church to be completely unable to help. And you know,
because he's not given leave to do an exorcist. He tells the nurse nun lady
that they need they need psychiatric help. Like, he knows for a fact that that's bullshit, but it is what it is. So leave it to the Catholic Church. But he's sitting out in his car praying the whole time. And then, like, after the voodoo chick has some success, she has the dad go dump out this water. And then he's, like, rolls up on the priest, knocks on his window, and he's like, fights in there. And so then they all start doing their bullshit and trying to...
Oh, big one was, They weren't supposed to touch the girls.
I was getting there. Yeah. They weren't supposed to touch the girls at all. Well, they're sitting there, they're trying their power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
Lord's Prayer in it.
Lord's, yeah. And it's not working.
And the dad, the other girl, Catherine's dad, has to leave.
Yeah, he ends up walking out for a minute because he's not being able to do it. And, like, that's when they hit him with you're going to have to choose. You know, pick which girl lives and which girl dies. Only one of them gets to live.
And
the other one dies.
Vincent, Angela's dad, and the mom of Catherine
look at each other. They're like, I'm not choosing. She's like, me neither. And so they're like, oh, we're strong. We're steadfast in this.
And then the priest
boom,
comes in.
Catholic priest comes in.
Touches them with the cross and with the rosary. And he's praying over them, and things are happening.
Yeah, and it's like, this is the climax of the movie. He finally came in, and now he's going to help, and everything's going to work out great. And then, YY 360 ladder stall no scope. Buddy just hits a 360. And I ain't talking about the Xbox.
And it was so gross. Like, I actually gagged a little bit with the neck just coming out the side of, or the bones coming out the side of the neck looking.
Buddy was looking like a Lego man who was getting his headpiece switched. That's what.
It was not pleasant. Like, the whole movie, that was probably the worst thing, to be honest, was that.
That dude fell backwards onto his face.
Yeah.
That's some crazy shit. But, like, so he's dead. So, clearly that didn't fucking work.
And then they're still praying, they're still doing their thing.
Freaking the fuck out, and Angela's dad grabs a scarf.
And he puts it around the neck, and things are looking like they're gonna happen.
He's like, I love you. You know, before that, before they mentioned the choice, she had dropped a bombshell on everybody, which makes me, which kind of sort of explains, but also doesn't explain the weird decision making that the dad's been making so far. It cuts back to the hospital in Haiti, and right where he's like, you know, we have to choose to save one or the other. And he's like, save my wife then. And so it turns out that he didn't want the daughter.
Well, he did.
But he wanted to save his wife. And then she was like, God played a trick on you. Save the baby you didn't want instead. And so, blah, 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 blah.
And then he's got conviction now and faith, apparently. He starts praying. And things are looking up.
And so, yeah, he's like, I love you. And he's like, come back. And then there's a couple of people, like, the close friends of his. And then the Catherine's like, what about me, Mommy?
When the priest came in, Catherine's dad came in too. So he's there, Mom's
he's sitting
there.
Like on a wall behind behind a wall in front of all of this, just kind of like sulking.
And as they're starting to break apart the demon, I guess you could say, or whatever.
And she's like, what about me, Mommy?
The girl in her normal voice goes, what about me? They're killing me, Mommy. Pick me, please, pick me. And dun dun dun.
Dumbass enters the chat.
The dad, who wasn't there for when they decided not to pick you know, one girl over the other, goes, I pick you, Catherine, I pick you. And
everyone's like, no, you fucking idiot. Well, the lights go off. Like, they start levitating this shit. And, she crashes to the ground. Angela crashes to the ground because Angela had been untied. And her heart stops beating. And then the other girl's, like, looking around like, what the fuck's happening? And then it cuts to her back in that tunnel, sitting in a chair. And then she's like, Mom? And you hear the dad's voice echo, I choose you, Catherine.
And so she runs towards
it. And then all of a sudden you hear, I choose you, Catherine. And like a demon voice. And then all these demons drag her fucking under the water and shit. And then her heart stops.
Yep.
And she dies. And it's been damned to hell for all eternity because of her father.
And Angela survives.
And comes back to life.
And it was, who was it that said, they played a trick on you.
The Christian priest said you were tricked.
Yeah. And then basically
Congratulations, Dad. You just killed and damned your daughter to eternal damnation in hell.
And Angela's fine.
Yeah.
And they pick everything up, and then the next thing you know, they're going back to school.
Yeah, everything's fine, basically. And like they're going back to school, and everything's cool again,
and that's it.
And then the old lady reunites with her daughter at the end of it.
But
and that's it.
There was no the only thing that was really scary in the whole movie was the snake jumping out.
Every time somebody died, the 3 times a character was killed or brutally injured, you saw it coming a mile away. The old lady,
not the priest so much.
No, the lady when the cross hit the table, I was like, she's getting stabbed. I didn't think she was gonna live. I thought she was gonna get killed.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that surprised me was the fact that she didn't die.
And then I didn't see the priest.
The second he touched her, I was like, it's a wrap.
I was like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, but I didn't think he was gonna 360 it.
No, I was like, he's dead. He's dead. He touched him. You're not supposed to do that. And then, yeah, I was just like, and then they started looking around and started turning their heads a bit. I was like, oh yeah, he fucking dead. It's over. It's a wrap.
Oh, but it really wasn't like. Okay, letter grading it now, real quick. I give it a B-.
I'm giving it a C. I'm gonna be honest. And the more I think about it, I'm giving it a solid no.
I'm gonna say this. I gave the Pope's Exorcist a C, and that was definitely worse than this movie.
Okay, you're right. I give it a B-. You're right.
It was a good movie. It just wasn't.
I mean, it was a good popcorn film. I'm gonna be honest. It was.
It didn't have me on edge.
It didn't have me on edge, but it was a good story. I guess.
It was a good story.
But it wasn't a good horror movie.
It was just weird though, because who would put Pentecostal Christian and a voodoo witch doctor,
and that's the thing.
All in the same room.
That's what killed it for me. That's why that last part killed it for me, because the rules were consistent. Because clearly, the exorcism itself failed. Angela's alive because they chose Catherine to get taken to hell. By the way, they've made it clear, Catherine went to hell. And she died and went to hell. Which, what a fucked up thing to put in the movie, first of all. Secondly, the exorcism failed by that regard.
And the only person to make any... because there was one part where the voodoo queen did something, and
it looked like they coughed up some evil shit.
Evil stuff. But that was it. And the burning of the cross on the forehead.
No, it was the upside down cross, though.
Was it?
Yeah, it was upside down.
Well, point being, is there was nothing...
The 2 people that should have had an effect had no effect.
Yes.
Because, okay, so here's my thing, right? This is not a place for us to judge or debate religious beliefs.
Correct.
Right? That's not what we're doing here. We're not saying that my God is better than your God, discuss, as Randy Feltface would say. We're not saying that. What we're saying is, based on the universe that these movies take place in, because make no mistake about it, they let you know this is in the same universe as the original Exorcist. They even play the theme and everything. Mm-hmm. So in that universe, it is confirmed that heaven and hell are real, God and the devil are real, and the Christian belief is the correct belief. Believe it whether you don't in the real world, that's not the point. The point is, in this cinematic universe that they're creating, that is the gold standard. So the only person to have any effect is not a Christian faith-based individual, and it's someone who does voodoo. Something that, and why they working together, something that would never fucking happen in the real world, considering Christians are not going to see a voodoo witch doctor and be like, yeah, I'm fine with this. I'm fine with them mucking about with the exorcism that we're working on. Because...
And the fact that the lady's like, you need to gather them all together.
Yeah, she's an idiot for that. Considering you didn't need to gather them all in the original movie. You just needed a young priest and an old priest. The power of Christ compels you. That's all you needed in the original. You didn't need a voodoo witch doctor and a nurse and a very assertive neighbor.
This isn't the Poltergeist where you got the freaking
This should have been a Poltergeist movie or a new spin-off altogether. This should not have been an Exorcist movie because I get it. If you believe in voodoo, if that is your belief system, that's fine.
But
you're allowed to make
Catholicism.
Yeah,
like,
you're allowed to make movies about your beliefs. What you're not allowed to do is fucking... If you're going to continue something that's already got established rules, you don't break those rules. She should have made shit worse by the rules of the Exorcist films.
Yeah. And it was just... So, it wasn't... I would say this. It's not a... It is a good movie. Not a great movie.
Not a good horror movie.
Not a horror
not a
movie
good Exorcist
at all. And I would think that if they would have put it as anything other than like an Exorcist franchise, because it is it says The Exorcist believes,
and they even played the little fucking little theme song that they have.
And so you're putting it all in here. It could have been something completely separate, like completely separate.
And that would have been fine. But like, and that would have been that could have been a very positive message too to bring people together. But instead, you lifted up voodoo, and in doing so broke the rules of the universe that you've created, and then made everyone else look stupid. Because the only thing that worked was voodoo.
Yep.
Everything else failed miserably.
And I think it was, again, like the Pope's Exorcist, a little too fast-paced. In getting to the point, whereas there could have been a lot more fear factoring into it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 2-hour movie, but there's still, like, it literally jumped around so much that it felt too fast-paced.
Nothing got to breathe.
Yeah, and you have to have that in horror. You have to have, you're walking through the house.
It didn't feel like 2 hours either.
I know it didn't. You have to walk through the house and you hear creaking of this, and, you know, behind you is the glowing-eyed monster thing, or what, you know what I mean? Like,
give us some fake-outs, too!
Yeah,
to keep the tension high.
Again, the original Exorcist movie, even though it's more of a B movie, is scary.
Yeah.
You know? It, not fearful, like, freak out scary, but it is very scary.
Psychologically horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This didn't even have that. This just had...
You kind of knew what you were getting into.
Yeah, it was very predictable. And I don't like, if I'm going to watch something, I don't want it to be predictable. I want it to be something that I'm not going to see coming out of a mile away.
The only things I didn't see coming was the old lady surviving her first encounter with one of the demons.
The snake.
Well, yeah, that doesn't count. That's not a major plot development.
No, well, I'm talking about, like, for... You know, it's the only jump scare that really scared me.
Yeah, for me, as far as plot developments that I didn't predict, I thought the old lady was going to die, not survive. And I didn't see both
girls died.
No, I didn't see one of them making it, not both. I thought for sure, you know, they were going to save them both, or neither of them, if they really wanted to go the dark route. But, no.
Well, like they did with Exorcist and Emily Rose, she died.
I knew the black chick Angela was making it out. I knew the little white girl was the only one I wasn't sure about, but I didn't expect them to actually kill her off. It's because you damned a child to hell for all eternity. What the fuck?
Well, and she hadn't been baptized either. That was the other thing that they kept going on about.
Yeah. What the fuck? So.
But, I mean, it wasn't bad. I don't know if I'd actually watch it again.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed my time, but I wouldn't
probably watch it if it was, like, on TV somewhere.
It was free.
Whatever.
You had nothing else to do.
But I wouldn't actively seek out to watch it.
It was a little weird. The thing that got me was that what you're saying to me is either A, voodoo is the only thing that works, which doesn't make sense in that universe. B, nothing worked because you were all working together, and you shouldn't be, because that doesn't make any fucking sense. Voodoo just looked like it was doing something, and it failed because you were all working together and you shouldn't have been. And the demon was like, alright, cool, I'll be a man of my word and let one girl live, which kind of doesn't make sense in the sense of demons, but is the most logical outcome that I can think of. Or C, the only reason that Angela lived was the power of friendship and the power of love from her father.
My Little Pony.
Which is dog shit, if that's the case. It's awful and cliche and just...
Oh. But I do think that about wraps it up.
It was, I would say maybe see it if it comes out like on streaming or something. But I don't know if necessarily you need to go see this in theaters. If you have nothing to do, if you want to spice up your Halloween or your October experience and no other good horror movies come out this month, sure, go see it. But other than that, you can, this one gets a pass for me as far as,
rewatchability.
Yeah, this is let's go back to the old grading scale that me and Jen used. Trick or treat, this one's a trick.
I agree.
So, but yeah, that about wraps it up here for us today. We're going to go get some food and move on with our lives. So, thank you everybody so much for coming out, and I hope you all enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.
See y'all later. Bye-bye now.
Bye.